supervision, disciplinary punishment, education, work. Could the penitentiary system transform a criminal into a law-abiding citizen? Russian prisons, life behind bars on RT.
Any complaints? Get into the carriage.
I'll survive, for the sake of my wife and kids.
According to statistics, 1 out of every 4 men in Russia has served time in prison. Currently, nearly 900,000 inmates are serving time in prison colonies. Most of them have committed serious crimes.
Nowadays, when convicts enter quarantine, they see a mix of the old penitentiary system and the new.
Initially, the Russian penal system had inherited the legacy of Stalin's notorious gulags. But now it is going through a period of reform, the likes of which have never been seen before.
Everyone here needs to decide whether or not they're going to change their ways. And I think the warden needs to see that it's happening.
What kind of changes are already in place behind the barbed wire? And will modernization benefit both the inmates and prison staff? Convicted Pavel Leonov of masterminding the murder of a fellow businessman and sentenced him to 17 years. He has spent several months in one of Moscow's investigative isolation wards. Now Pavel is due to be transferred to a prison colony.
Face the wall. Spread your legs wider.
The new legislation makes it mandatory for a convict to be taken to a corrective institution located in the region where he lived before.
Sure, I'd like to be closer to home so that my kid could come and see me. I'm going to try and get through this. This means I want to keep my health and I don't want to be a burden to my family. But most of all, I don't want prison to destroy me. I want to remain who I am.
In the Tver region, 100 kilometers from Moscow, another inmate is awaiting a decision that may change his life. His name is Andrei Afanasyev. He ended up in prison on charges of fraud. Now that he has served 1/3 of his term, he has appealed to the administration to release him on parole. The law makes this possible.
Group 4 inmate, orderly on duty, Andrei Afanasyev. The day passed without incident.
Everything in order?
Yes.
Let's go and have a look.
A good deal of time is likely to pass between an inmate's request for parole and his release. First, the colony's administrative commission must consider his case. Even if they turn his request down, he may take his appeal to court, but that means he will have a much slimmer chance of being granted parole.
The time has come for me to rethink my life and see where I'm headed. I now believe that I've reformed. That's why I've asked for parole.
Russia's Federal Penitentiary Service is the government body that oversees the country's prisons and colonies. A year ago, it launched a program to resettle many of its inmates. $150,000 convicts were relocated in line with a new law prohibiting fledgling inmates being housed together with hardened criminals. Andrei Afanasyev is serving a sentence in a colony for people with a history of several crimes. This is a high-security prison colony in the Urals, 2,000 kilometers east of Moscow. Many of the inmates here are murderers, rapists, and drug dealers. Every one of them has fallen foul of the law on several occasions before. They know only too well how things are run in captivity.
Imagine how you enter the building. Dirt, darkness, around 400 people around you. Do you know what it's like?
On face value, this is just another colony. But unlike others, inmates here run their own theatre. This time, the imprisoned stars have decided to open a new season with an adaptation of Notes from the House of the Dead, a story by Russian author Fyodor Dostoevsky. He wrote it after a period of exile and hard labor in Siberia.
Each character in the book is plagued by sorrow and disenchantment. We see their shattered lives. This is what we want to convey to the audience.
The administration encourages inmates to take part in the club's performances if they have artistic talent. Others can get emotionally involved with the characters on stage as they watch them from the floor.
Hey, what's all that racket? Get to bed now.
Yes. People can be hardy creatures. They can adapt to anything. I think that that's the true definition of a man.
These modern-day inmates have given the roles of the 19th century convicts their due. There is a museum dedicated to Dostoevsky in the city of Omsk, where the writer served his prison term. Exhibits there feature the life of convicts under the Tsarist regime. On display are shackles, overcoats and irons that were used to brand inmates' faces. Dostoevsky described his penal servitude as the most terrible years of his life. More than 10 million inmates served sentences in Gulag prison camps during Stalin's repressions. Many were forced into slave labor at construction sites. All Gulag inmates, including those who had been put there on political charges, were made to mine minerals and chop down trees. Soviet prison colonies were built in faraway places with harsh climates. Talking about inmates' rights was taboo in those years. Only since the end of the Gulag system have reforms been possible.
The first step is to stop glorifying criminal culture, to stop repeated offenses. The second step is to try and rehabilitate those who serve their time and return them to normal society.
It is morning in the investigative isolation ward. A few hours ago, Pavel Leonov was told he would be taken to a penal colony. Shortly before he was due to go, he decided to visit the ward's church. It was built here only recently.
Should I put it here?
Turn around. Take off your hat.
What's that?
Take off your hat. Your full name?
Pavel Leonov.
Leonov and other inmates are driven across Moscow in a special van.
We're ready to go.
After that, they will be taken for a long journey in a train specially designed to transport convicts.
Number 1. Put the bag down and get out. Number 1. Any complaints? No, get into the carriage.
The compartment has no windows. There are bars instead of doors. Guards believe that too many precautions can never be taken when transporting dangerous criminals. 3 times a day, the passengers are given boiling water and packaged meals. They're in for a one-way trip. Their destination is unknown.
I get the feeling I'm on a ride to nowhere. I don't know where we are going or where the train is headed. I've got no idea what will happen. The only thing that is on my mind is my family.
This train has a 200-kilometer journey ahead of it. Tomorrow, Pavel Leonov will arrive at his new home.